Dr. Shelley Feldman from Prima Pediatrics, good morning.
Good morning to you.
And let's talk about this because, yes, there are kids, families, people move here to have families. We got great schools, we got great communities out here. But we're talking about kids' health. Tell me a little bit about what you see as one of the biggest concerns for parents nowadays.
I think the biggest concern for parents these days, I mean, there are many concerns, of course, but one of the biggest concerns is dealing with violence in the entire milieu, and our whole our entire community worries about violence. For example, I've noticed, I've been out here how many years? 40 years. And the number of shootings and violent deaths in this area seems to me to have increased remarkably in the last 10 years, and especially in the last few years. All over the media, you're hearing about school shootings, the shootings here, shootings there. Terrorism abounds. Everybody's afraid. And it is affecting our kids in multiple ways, and that's an issue for parents.
When we talk about that level of anxiety that affects them not only, of course, mentally, but does it have a physical impact on them as well?
We're seeing a lot more kids and parents, but especially the kids who are what we call somaticizing. That means they're developing body pains as a manifestation of their stress.
Okay, and that's something that does this come about? Is this something that you notice first, or is it something that parents come to you with and say, this seems to be happening?
Well, what they do is they usually bring in the child for a bellyache, not invariably, but very frequently. It'll be abdominal pain. The kids have got a bellyache. They're nauseated in the morning or in the evening. So they bring them in for bellyaches, or they bring them in for headaches or fatigue.
So what is there from a treatment standpoint? Are we talking about not only from treating the physical symptoms, but is there something you talk about with the parents regarding how to maybe reduce that level of stress and anxiety in the children, or is it all a well-rounded kind of treatment?
Well, of course, as a pediatrician, I have to make sure that there isn't anything specifically organic that is wrong with the child. It's that old thing, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. But so, of course, I have to check that out to reassure both the parent and the child that there's nothing seriously wrong here. But just as serious, in my viewpoint, is not being aware of the effects of stress on our children. When I get a child who I'm pretty dang sure is stressed as the cause of their abdominal pain, it's amazing to me how long it takes for me to tease the information out of the parent, because it's not on their radar.
They just think there's something wrong. Or I know in some cases I've had people who are now adults who grew up with those types of anxiety, stomach pain, and the parents they'd almost get in trouble for complaining about it too much too. I mean, there's sometimes the parents are really in denial about that situation.
Right. Well, there are some parents who are in denial about it, but also the other part of it is that just they're clueless. What can I tell you? I mean, you're so close to your kid. A lot of times, and this happens to pediatrician parents too. I'm no different than anybody else. Basically, when you're that close, you can't see what's right in front of you. And it's not a question of being stupid or being, not a good parent. It's a question of not being able to see what's in front of you. You're worried about your kid. You don't know why they're having the belly aches. You're thinking of all kinds of things. I mean, if any parent is anywhere near as weird as I am, the first thing they think about is, oh my God, there's a tumor. There's something terrible happening. Everybody does that. But beyond that, they don't stop to think about everything else that's going on. And as much as we try, even the best parents can't always find out about what's happening in a kid's inner life.
Right.
And that's tough.
You have a situation where not only you may have the parents who aren't quite conscious of what the child's going through, but on the other hand, the kid's not overtly opening up either because they either don't know how to articulate what's wrong with them.
Right.
I mean, homework, grades in school, the big kid in the class that keeps bothering you at lunchtime or whatever, is things that you don't always want to bring up because you don't know what kind of, a kid may not know what kind of repercussions are going to come out from that. So I can understand that's a real stress inducer.
It's a tough thing to deal with, but we're dealing with it. But I'm seeing also what's happening to a lot of kids is that sometimes it's not even in their own personal lives. It's because they're watching TV and they're seeing all this stuff. And
there's not a whole lot of filters anymore, and it's not as far removed. When we talk about the violence or what's going on, it seems so much more realistic than perhaps in our day, where somebody might have gotten shot on Gunsmoke, but nothing came of it.
That's right.
And it seemed much more detached. What do you suggest for parents? Is there anything you can is there like a warning sign or something that you can kind of throw out there that they might look for?
Well,
at least from that standpoint?
What I have always recommended to parents is when the child has vague complaints, like, constant bellyache for weeks on end or headache for weeks on end, aside from, of course, making sure there isn't anything organic going on. Obviously, if a kid's got a headache for weeks on end, but they've also got a green runny nose, maybe something's going on.
Yeah, that's true.
But outside of that, what I'd suggest is doing what I call the feet on the walls talk. And that is, in our household, this is how I used to do it. We'd take off our shoes, we'd lay on our backs on the floor, and whichever child was the one that was having a problem, we'd put our feet up on the walls, our sock feet on the walls, and with our hands behind our head, and we just talk about things. And I would bring up things that used to bother me as when I was a kid, and eventually I would find out what was going on.
And that's a good opportunity to have that kind of interaction where it's a kind of a casual thing and not just like, what's going on with you? I get that.
Right.
So Prima Pediatrics, Dr. Shelley Feldman, how can people get more information or make an appointment to come see you?
Well, they can call us at 661-424-9000. Isn't that an easy one to remember?
That is a very easy one to remember.
I like that. I'm so grateful to the phone company. Or you can email us at primapediatrics.net, go on our website. Or just come on in, 18520 Via Princess. We're right across from Costco. We're very expensive that way because when you come to see us, you invariably go to Costco.
That's
and then
true.
You spend money.
That's the thing. I love that. That's to make it a day event. I really thank you so much for stopping by, Dr. Feldman. Really appreciate the updates on this. And this is something that not a lot of parents think about. So thanks for stopping by.
My pleasure.
You bet.